Tonight, a legitimate mandate or a MAGA loyalty test? Oklahoma is now rolling out an ideology exam for teachers relocating from New York and California. Now, the test is going to be administered by a conservative media company ahead of the new school year. Applicants who don't pass the test won't earn a teaching certificate. And here is what Oklahoma's top education official said about this new requirement.
It keeps away woke indoctrinators. It absolutely does. That's the whole purpose of it. We do not want Marxist woke indoctrinators in the classroom. We want great teachers. We do not allow any kind of CRT being pushed on the kids, DEI, transgenderism. We don't do that here in Oklahoma. Our focus will be on reading, math, history, science. It will be done in the highest level possible.
When asked by CNN who is going to oversee this and make sure that the assessments are being taken and passed, Walters replied, quote, "It's up to me." And as you might know, because he has been at the center of a lot of insane headlines coming out of Oklahoma, he is a huge Trumper. And part of what he is pushing against is anybody who doesn't like MAGA and Trumpism. But I don't know. I mean, it just seems like Oklahoma is not the one to be talking. They're not doing great in terms of education standards.
Well, we don't have the whole test, but let me read some of the questions we did get. One question deals with gender, asking teachers to select from a series of multiple choice answers which chromosome pairs determine biological sex. Another question asks why freedom of religion is important to America's identity. Other questions include asking for the first three words of the Constitution, naming the two chambers of the U.S. Congress, and identifying the number of U.S. senators. I mean, these are all great questions for a teacher to be able to. Shouldn't a teacher have to be able to answer? It could be that there's like, how much do you hate Donald Trump is like in there.
Shouldn't
okay,
they
that
also
won't be
be
great,
able
but,
to?
I mean,
Shouldn't they also be able?
No?
I mean, wouldn't it be more important to know whether they know and understand the subjects that they're expected to be teaching? Isn't that more to the point?
I think it's so concerning that our math and reading scores for 4th and 8th graders are the lowest that they've been in like 20 or 30 years. We need to be focused on how we're building back our kids and making them succeed and excel in schools. And that really should be the focus. This idea that we're putting out these tests for just teachers in California and New York, I mean, teachers just need to be able to teach their subjects, to your point. And then, at the end of the day, because we're so behind in some of our elementary schools in particular, we also have to keep our mind on, the challenges ahead of us. China is not putting tests on their teachers on certain, like some of the questions that you read. They're educating the next generation, and they're going to be our competitors both economically and in other areas, and we have to keep focused on that.
I would not. I don't know if China has ideological tests for their teachers. Maybe they do, but they're a communist.
Yeah, it's a different type of test.
Country.
Yeah,
we're a communist country, and you mentioned freedom of religion. This is the same superintendent from Oklahoma who wants the Bible and the Bible teachings to be displayed in Oklahoma schools. He did an interview with CNN in November of last year about this. This is what he said.
I know the left doesn't want our kids to know anything about the role the Bible played in American history. They don't want any of our kids to know about the Constitution. Before we had a federal Department of Education and we had the Bible and prayer in school, guess what? We were leading the free world. President Trump has won on this issue. He has a crystal clear mandate. It's what Americans want. It's what Oklahomans want. And so we're going to deliver on those on President Trump's promises here in Oklahoma.
Look, let me just say something. Ryan Walters is failing. Mm-hmm. He is not good at his job. And he needs to take a listen to what Donald Trump says to people who are not good at their jobs. You're fired. They're 50th in education. In South Carolina, we used to make T-shirts that said, "Thank God for Mississippi." There's only one state that is worse in education than the state of Oklahoma. And so while he's trying to dictate the people that come in his borders to educate the young people in the great state of Oklahoma, they probably need to find another superintendent of education who's not engulfed in scandal, who's not someone who's perpetrating these gimmicks and games, not someone who's kowtowing to Donald Trump. I think that his goal should not be to have these questions on tests. We can articulate or pontificate or all the other big words SAT words we can find about whether or not the test questions are good or not. Ryan Walters, where's my camera? Ryan Walters, why don't you focus on being number 45 instead of number 50 in the country?
I mean, can't we just all agree? I mean, even if you don't want what he considers woke to be in schools, can't we agree that what he's describing is also not what our schools should be focused on? They should be focused on reading, math, arithmetic, creating good, decent human beings that go out into the world?
Well, that was the last part of his statement that you played, was that in our classrooms we're going to focus on reading and math and science and so on and so forth.
Prayer and the Bible and Christian religion, which, by the way, maybe some students are not Christian. Whatever happened to freedom of religion?
So you would be against that, but you would be okay if a teacher had other ideologies they
I
wanted
actually
to teach?
didn't say any of that. I just said I don't think it matters what teachers believe. I think what matters is what they are teaching in the classroom, because we live in a society where we don't police people's thoughts, or at least we're not supposed to. So if they think something, if they personally believe something, you're going to prevent them from having a profession?
I think the question is not what they personally believe, but what they are personally focused on. And there is no doubt
What's
that
the
there
difference
have
between those things?
the difference is, are you going to go into a classroom and spend your time focusing on some of these deeply held beliefs that you have more than you're going to spend your time on teaching the core subjects? That's what I would want to know. If I were the superintendent of education, I would want to know, are they here to teach or are they here to indoctrinate? It is a fair question that a lot of parents have.
It's also true that only 2 states are being targeted, California and New York, which also happen to be among the top performing schools amongst these age groups. So there's a certain level of irony in Oklahoma saying, don't you dare come in here and we're going to give you a test on this, particularly when they are doing so poorly, as Bakari said, 50th, repeatedly and consistently across multiple groups, right, as opposed to California and New York. Not only that, Oklahoma has a teaching shortage, like a dramatic teaching shortage that continues to go up. They have at least 3,000 teachers that are certified to teach in Oklahoma that refuse to teach because of the environment. They are importing teachers from Mexico because they can't meet the requirements and fill all of the slots. So the idea that they would do this and turn away better performing teachers from California and New York, it just makes absolutely no sense.
He's playing politics with young people when instead we should be preparing them for a 21st century global economy. Should be the goal.
It is theater, but he also actually has real students, in their education's in his hands, so it's very real for those students. Professor Leah Wright Rigueur, thank you very much for joining us for those conversations. And coming up next for us, more Republican governors are deploying National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., but what about the crime in their own backyards? We'll discuss what's behind those marching orders next.